Emma Kidwell. Emma Kidwell is a contributing editor at Gamasutra and SOMETIMES content for the web. I hardly play any video games, at least in 2018, with the exception of Detroit Become Human, its first and only mention in my guilty. I missed most of the new hits. I am not sure if it's because 2018 felt like an eternity and drained my desire to do anything. Yikes. But I think I was just too busy, not busy doing anything productive, but finding myself going back to play older games like Overwatch, Drive, Mario, or Jeopardy, instead with my friends at partner. I gravitated toward games with a social aspect. This past year's insert was my first full year working remotely for Gamasutra. Adjusting to a different schedule than your peers is difficult at first, but socializing through games helped a lot. I was also reminded a few days ago that I can write off video game purchases during tax season. So here's to 2019. In no particular order, here are my top 5 games released this year. Florence is a game I have thought about often since playing it toward the beginning of the year. Before diving into why it's a unique experience, I want to applaud the developers for making a game that's the perfect length of time, clocking in at around 2 hours. Florence tells a story about love at a great pace. The game takes the generic formula of a traditional relationship, meeting, falling in love, falling out of love, but tells it in such a compelling way through its effective use of simple mechanics, powerful score, and a unique art style. Games without lots of dialogue, a text need to go the extra mile to convey an engaging and emotional story effectively, and Florence absolutely nails it. I am not going to give away any story spoilers, because I encourage you to take the time to play it yourself. I will say that Florence is made for mobile and other short narrative games would find themselves a great home on the platform. Mobile is confined to a very small subset of mechanics, tapping, swiping, or holding an icon on your screen. Those constraints serve as powerful storytelling tools right for innovation. The game in its entirety is made up of small, digestible vignettes of very personal and intimate moments in adult relationships where both the good and the bad are shared in a special way. The nice thing about writing a personal go-to list is that games ported to different platforms get a free pass, which means I can stand on my soapbox to talk about how important A Mortician's Tale is. To start off, this game works incredibly well for mobile. Simple point-and-click mechanics from its PC counterpart transitioned over smoothly to the small screen. I prefer mobile because it felt more personal this time around as I gently guided Bones over to the cremulator. I am not going to talk about how the American funeral industry preys on society's collective fear of death and dying, but A Mortician's Tale will, and not in a ham-fisted, preachy way. The game teaches you about a field often shrouded in misinformation and mystery in a very respectful and engaging way that is so unique to this medium. Do yourself a favor and play it. House Flipper is my go-to. Listen to a podcast and mentally check out for a few hours kind of game. That's in no way an insult. Like many other games on this list, it's the ideal amount of length. I usually play in 2-hour chunks, and literally watching paint dry is part of the fun. I had zero expectations when this game popped up in my library, but it's the most delightful title I have played in a while, especially when I am looking to relax. Yes, cleaning up piles of virtual garbage and scrubbing dirty floors is my ideal way to unwind. House Flipper is engaging enough to complete tasks without feeling like a chore. so you can upgrade your tools, earn more money, and complete strange requests for the homeowners you are doing manual, contracted labor for. It's a simulation game much like driving a truck through the mountains or tending to a field of crops, except this simulation game is active in a way I really like, where my contributions have some payoff and I see the result of my efforts. It's a great game to play, and come back to multiple times and go right back to stomping a bunch of roaches out. I do not like feeling dumb when I play a game, and I felt incredibly dumb during my time with Return of the Obra Dinn, even though I felt stupid going back and forth between my handwritten notes on the squinting against the description of Man with Weird Nose, and the artist's rendition of its crew members. I never felt dejected. I am not going to spoil any part of this game, because it's essential that everyone reading this feel as dumb and going as blind as I did, and nothing is more rewarding than solving something correctly with all the facts in place and the game rewarding you for it. The mystery of the Obra Dinn is compelling, and there was absolutely no way I uncovered all its secrets, especially with how poorly I played. Despite being a terrible insurance claims woman and a horrible detective, the game was incredible from start to finish. The visuals, soundtrack, pacing, it hit all the right notes. Well, it's the longest game on my list. Time flew by as I was playing. It's the best detective game I have played, and it never holds your hand. I am not used to that in my games, so it was refreshing. I only wish I could have found someone who'd eat of scurvy. The theme of my guilty list seems to be games that are the perfect amount of length, and a frog detective game. It's just about an hour long and a damn delight. I do want to stand on my soapbox a second and take time to appreciate small games like a frog detective game. Being light-hearted, genuine, and including well-written silly dialogue. I oftentimes forget these gems exist among the sea of big releases and backlog of games in my repertoire, but I encourage you to give your money and time to indie games made by a small team. I am certainly glad I did, and I had a genuinely great time playing a frog detective game. Play this little game, and then play a few smaller games like it. The score is appropriately wide. The frog protagonist is refreshingly optimistic, and it was a great way to spend an hour in this DD 2010 online session. Richard Bartle, co-creator of MUD, explains the concept in its original design and corrects some of famous conceptions about what it must have been like to play. Bartle also goes into detail about how mod development has advanced dramatically since 1978, and how there are still some areas where early mods were more capable than today's behemoths. It was an insightful talk that's definitely still worth watching, so developers should not miss the opportunity to do so now that it's freely available on the official GD YouTube channel. In addition to this presentation, THEGDC Vault and its accompanying YouTube channel offers numerous other free videos, audio recordings, and slides from many of the recent Game Developers Conference events, and the service offers even more members-only content for DD Vault subscribers. Those who purchased all access passes to recent events, like DD Vault, already have full access to DD Vault, and interested parties can apply for the individual subscription via the DD Vault subscription page. Group subscriptions are also available. Game-related schools and development studios who sign up for DD Vault Studio subscriptions can receive access for their entire office or company by contacting staff via the THEGDC Vault Group subscription page. Finally, current subscribers with access issues can contact the devout technical support. Gamasutra and DD are sibling organizations under parent company Informa. Hi, I am Toby and I am the lead on the user interface redesign for our Sunless Skies. This is a major overhaul, touching every element of the way, so I wanted to give a bit of insight into our rationale for the redesign, and explain the thinking behind the decisions we have made. A bit of background. We delayed the release of Sunless Skies till next January because we wanted to improve several key areas of the game. Of this, a major priority was the game's UI and user experience. Sunless Skies is a relatively text-heavy game, and demands a greater than average amount of reading from the player, and we wanted that reading experience to be as immersive